This is a Distillery Channel network production, bringing you the distillerychannel.com. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Coming to you live from the heart of Northern Illinois here in St. Charles, the 48th floor, downtown St. Charles, Illinois. The highest rooftop in Northern Illinois, just west of Chicago. And we've got the distillerychannel.com on air. I'm Randy Weckerly, and with me on the line, I have Rob Ladd. How you doing, Rob?
Good afternoon, Randy. It's a great day in Central Illinois. I'm glad to hear you're high atop the 48th floor there in St. Charles. I'm sure you have a great view. I'm stuck on ground floor in Peoria, Illinois, and I really can't see much but the neighbors next door.
Well, if you had stopped looking, they would really, be happy, Rob. But, that's what drinking's all about in Central Illinois. It's lonely down there, I understand. And we understand you're raised by wolves, and that's okay. Yankee Doodle is now playing in the background in honor of our show today, coming to this wonderful group of people here in the studio. How you doing, guys? Everything good? Good. I'm glad you're here. The studio's getting a lot more people in it, Rob, than it's had in the past, but we've got people from around my block, and a couple members of the family are here, and actually somebody brought a dog. I'm not exactly sure why you'd bring a dog to a studio, but that's okay. We're going to be focusing on Virginia. We're going to be focusing on George Washington's, whose birthday was yesterday, and I understand you've done a little bit of research. The state of what started this today was the governor from Virginia was on ABC this morning, and he was touting in a very positive manner the great things about the state of Virginia, and right at the end he said, state of Virginia, it has an ocean, it has mountains, and it has wineries, breweries, and distilleries, more than you could possibly imagine. So I thought we'd just focus on George Washington, who I guess he started this episode of Drinking in Virginia, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Quickly, the last time I was in Virginia, since we're talking about it, on the great golf adventures of the old days, in 2012, I was on a golf project in Virginia when Hurricane Sandy swept up the East Coast. And I had the pleasure of following Sandy all the way to Connecticut for a project. It was actually just the next exit down the interstate from the Sandy Hook school shooting. Yes, exactly. So in the many golf adventures of the past, we have seen a lot of the country, and Virginia is certainly a beautiful state, some great people there, and I'm sure there are plenty of wonderful breweries and distilleries and wineries to visit, and that's what we're all about here at the Distillery Channel, is telling everybody where to go and where to have fun.
Well, we will try to hopefully have them avoid the hurricane scenario with what we call weather forecasts, Rob. We do have a weather department here, and we do have weather radar about 8 miles away that NBC monitors. So being a station, we can't get weather, young Rob, so that'll never happen again. But we're going to talk about George Washington, not your adventures in golf. We do have the Where to Play Golf show if you'd like to go do that one next time. But today we'll be focusing some point in time in the show. Now, we're going to be coming up to commercial message brought to us by a great diner up in upper Wisconsin. But the thing is, Rob, let's talk about George Washington. My understanding was he ran a distillery, and was he competing with Jefferson, or was that just rumor?
George actually ran the largest.
Guess what, Rob?
In the country.
Guess what?
What?
You took too much time talking about Sandy. We got to go to commercial. Ruined the whole show. You didn't stop it. You just slowed it down. Be right back, guys. And we're actually going to talk about George Washington when we come back.
Hello, and greetings from the Delta Diner. You know, some restaurants like to brag about how many McPeople they've McServed. And at the Delta Diner, I guess we're not above that either. Since we faithfully rebuilt our original 1940 Silk City Diner a few years back, we've served dozens of dozens. And not to brag, but we would have served even more if not for the fact that we're out here an hour away from most folks. But then our customers consider the drive and the long wait once they get here well worth it, which tells you more about our food than any adjectives I could come up with. Plus, how much quality family time can you get at those dime a dozen places where the longest part of your drive is from the order speaker to the pickup window? And don't miss Burger Mondays, the only day we serve burgers. You can find out more about our weekly burger options by visiting our Facebook page, if that's your kind of thing. The Delta Diner on County H and Delta, in the middle of nowhere and like nowhere you've ever eaten.
Well, once again, the distillerychannel.com is coming back. Hopefully we'll have some focus this time on what we're talking about down in Virginia. I think Rob's still on the line. Not exactly sure. I might have humiliated him. Hopefully I did in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Rob, let's talk about George Washington and his birthday and what fun facts you have for us today pertaining to George.
Well, we all know about George chopping down a cherry tree and his famous "I cannot tell a lie" line.
Did that really happen? Do you think that really happened?
No, not according to my sources. Say that was a myth. But my sources do say that in George's first run for the Virginia legislature, he lost quite badly. So being a resourceful young man, he decided to run again. So he brewed up 144 gallons of his famous hooch and distributed it to the polling places and promised anyone who would vote for him a drink. And the result was that he won in a landslide.
Jeez. What? Now that sort of was taken up in the well, I think just offshoots of that, maybe in Chicago politics. Now, did they in the land of Lincoln? Did they God. You know, if you can't feed them, just get them drunk. I guess that's the way it is. You know. You also had a fun fact about Thomas Jefferson, wasn't it? About when he left the bill at the White House.
Yes, Thomas Jefferson was renowned for being a great wine connoisseur, and when he left office, he actually left with an $11,000 wine tab, which would translate into about $200,000 today.
You know what? Today, I think we need more alcohol today than they ever have. Now, here's some other fun facts about George Washington. After his retirement in 1798, he decided he was going to party hardy. And at Mount Vernon, after serving 2 terms, he and Martha hosted more than 600 overnight guests at Mount Vernon. They barely had time at all alone, and it was said some guests stayed for weeks, if not months. So, I don't know. Remember when Clinton rented the Lincoln bedroom? You know, George started it. I mean, that wasn't something that Clinton, came up with just on his own. They had actually 2 tombs on the property. They're not exactly sure. One was supposed to be a family crypt, and the other one they just weren't sure. Now, George, it could be implied because after he died, Martha went up and cordoned off the bedroom, their bedroom, never to be slept in again. So she's true fact. She took another bedroom in the house. I don't know if that's good or bad memories, but it's all right. One of the other things is that in his day, when you get done with the mash and everything else and distilling, all that product has to go somewhere. So he served it, shipped it over, to not only in his farm, but the farm next door for the cattle and the hogs to be fed alcohol in the afternoon. So he may.
Oh, yes. The corn mash is excellent excellent hog feed. It produces very succulent young pigs, and even the neighbors were said that the hogs are so fat that their bellies are dragging the ground.
Yeah, no, it's really it really is incredible. It's amazing that our country was founded on alcohol coming in. Now, my understanding is, and this could be rumor, and I haven't researched the fact, and I will in the next show, because we're going to evolve Virginia because of the propensity of the wineries and distilleries and breweries. I think they just like to drink a lot, and I think it has a lot of its history in moonshine, and maybe still today. But I was looking up on the website on the legislation, and they do have everything on their website. If you want to have a party or if you want to get into the business, all you have to do is go to the State of Virginia website, and they very clearly tell you what you have to do. One of the things we found out when we did the Costa Rica show is that rum runners from Costa Rica and pirates came to the east coast of the United States to sell and distribute their rum. So there could be, some other reasons that were there. Do you have any more fun facts for me, Rob, from your investigations of today?
Actually, what the founding fathers were referring to in the pursuit of happiness was actually distilling your own whiskey. And there were over 3,600 distillers in the state of Virginia in Washington's time. Now,
Really?
It was the largest one in the country, but there were 3,600 distilleries operating in the state of Virginia.
Jeez.
In the early 1800s.
Yeah, no, the number that they gave out. Now, did you find out in your research, today legislation is still trying to draw back the amount of taxes on how distillers are taxed. That goes all the way back to this era because
Yes.
in the majority of the country, I'm pretty sure, was founded and run on the money that was generated from alcohol.
Absolutely. Our economy was based on the rum industry.
Huh. Well, I guess what Colorado was doing, and they found out bringing in the cannabis tourism, is that basically our country was going to be, founded on those same principles. What other fun facts did you have along the route?
Oh, golly. All of our founding fathers, from what I could find, spent a great deal of time in the taverns or consuming libations. All of them.
Wow.
So, somewhere they found the clarity to write a wonderful document, for the Constitution. But in between time, they seem to been wallowing in depravity.
One of the places that we visited a couple of years ago, this was not in Virginia. This is an absolute true story, and I've got the historical film recording this event. We went into an old tavern in, golly gosh, I want to say it was in Savannah. Savannah's a great town. We are going to next. One of our chapters upcoming is going to be on Savannah. Savannah has a great, rich history, and I think we should jump to there next. But they have this old tavern, and in this tavern, it's one of the oldest establishments. And in the backyard, they grew a lot of trade, from cotton to just all kinds of different, things that people ate, but also they had flowers and whatnot. But it was very close to the river, and in this particular tavern, pirates would come in and get anybody drunk that they could. And then they would usher them down to the basement, and there was a tunnel from this tavern to the river that they would take their inebriated souls and basically, no matter what race, white, Chinese, black, slaves, whatever, they would put them on basically a slow boat to China. And then literally, there was a story that I unfolded, I'm going to put up on the website, that we did in the past about a policeman from the city of Savannah that went through this process. And they got him drunk, they tied him up, they took him down the tube, put him on the ship, found himself. Now, again, remember, these are three-masted schooners, so it takes a while to get to China, but then it only took him 3 years to get back. So can you imagine that? Just wake up.
What a quest.
What a night of drinking. So
Yes.
in a lot of the stuff that they produced, they didn't age.
Correct.
They just put it in a barrel and ship it out and let the. Did you see that? Did you find that in your research today?
Yes, especially Washington, that he just packed it in 31-gallon wooden kegs. And it wasn't aged. It was just jet fuel, and took it straight to the merchants, and they dispensed it. It wasn't branded. It wasn't in bottle, anything. It was just the raw product.
And they didn't cut it at all either, right?
No.
Jeez. Well,
those were hardy souls.
Well, and then, you sit there and you think about that. Have you ever had raw alcohol?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And it was from a friend in actually the state of Virginia back some years ago that we were visiting with, and he had a quart jar of the good old-fashioned White Lightning. Wow. That was distilled illegally, and we passed it around, and I got a sip, and I tell you, you've got to be a full-grown man to handle that stuff.
Well, I was with a friend of mine at a distillery that was just producing some of its first batch, and they pulled some of the raw White Lightning, if you want to call that, out and said, here, to another friend of mine, said, here, sip this. Well, anyway, she decided to sip it wholly. I think it set her throat on fire. She was just like, that was not funny. There's nothing funny about 160 proof alcohol.
No, not at all.
That would be about, I don't know how many cases of Prilosec after that to calm that fire. But it is amazing with George Washington when they, you can go down there and still tour Mount Vernon, but some of the biggest areas at time of the year is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But it's open 365 days a year. And
absolutely, and there's a working distillery there now that was opened maybe 10 years ago, and they are distilling and distributing product, and you can go and you can take a tour and you can see all the historic grounds and also visit the distillery.
Yeah, no, it's great. One of the things, we got a couple minutes here before we wrap up the show. What we're going to be doing, top 10 list of the best beaches in the country has just come out, and 8 of them are in Florida. So what I want to do is, now that the cold is coming again, we're going to be getting in the car and heading to Florida and visiting every one of those beaches and a distillery close by. And I think that's going to be fun. Rob, it's been great. We're going to be checking out for today. Again, checking back in when we come back in our next episode. We're going to be defining what is bourbon, what is rye, what is gin, and what is White Lightning, and how those things come about in local distilleries. So thanks again, Rob. Did a great job, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Have a wonderful day. All
righty. Toast hardy and drink responsibly, everybody. It's the Distillery Channel, and Randy, we're out.